Good morning to all of you. So we will start with this chapter 3, square and square roots. Okay, so we have already studied this in the junior classes, that is what is area of square. So area of square is actually side into side, where side means the length of the side. Like if the side is 1 centimeter, then what is area of square? 1 into 1, that is 1 square. If the side is 2 centimeter, then area of square is 2 into 2, that is 4. If the side is 3, then area of square is 9. Similarly, for side 5, it is 25. For 8, it is 64. So in general, if the side is a centimeter, so we can say that area of square is a into a, and that we read as, when it is written a raised to the power 2, it is combined, it is written as a square. So what is special about these numbers? 4, 9, 25, 64. So special thing is that 4 can be expressed as 2 into 2. 9 can be expressed as 3 into 3. So all such numbers which can be expressed as the product of the number with itself, they are known as the square numbers. Okay, understood? So whenever you multiply a number with itself, so the answer that you get, that answer is known as the square of the number. For example, let's see the few squares, that is from squares from 1 to 30. So it is a suggestion for you all to you just remember these squares from 1 to 30, because it will be useful for you whenever you calculate the square root of the numbers, such that their factor will be a prime number, like 3 is a prime number, 2 is a prime number, 7, 13, 11, 19, 17, like this. So whenever you do the prime factorization, and suppose if you got the square of the prime numbers, then in that case this table will be helpful for you. So this is the square of the numbers from 1 to the 30. So remember this table. Now let's discuss few very important properties of square of the numbers, and these properties are very useful for us whenever we do the prime factorization or whenever we find the square root of the numbers. First of all, perfect squares. So what is the meaning of perfect square? Suppose a 9 is written here, so I can say 9 is a perfect square, because I can write 9 as the product of two identical numbers, like 9 is 3 square, that is 3 into 3. Again 25 is a perfect square because I can write 25 as product of two identical numbers, that is 5 and 5. So here is the square of numbers from 1 to 10. Now you just remember the square of these numbers from 1 to 10, because it is very important, because we know that total 10 digits are there, that is from 0 to 9, and each and every number which exists is made up of these 10 digits only. So whenever you do the squaring of a number, then first the one thing that is very much sure is the unit digit of the square of that number. That is, if the number is having 1 as the unit digit or 9 as the unit digit, then the square of that number will always contain 1 as its unit digit. So you better remember the square from 1 to 10 thoroughly. Now the properties of perfect square. So like I have said, the square of a number, when you are doing the square of the number, then one thing that is very much sure is the unit digit of that square of the number is known to you. So like, let's discuss the previous slide. So in this slide we came to know that there are digits which are always occurring is 1, 4, 9, 6, 5 and 0. So whenever you do the square of the number, then only these digits are going to occur as the unit digit of the square of the number. So we can say that if the number ends with 2, 3, 7 and 8 at units place, then it must not be a square of a number. For example, a number is given as 132. So without actually doing any calculation, just looking at the unit digit, you can make out that this is not a perfect square. Similarly, 28 cannot be a perfect square because it contains 8 at the unit place. But if a number ends with these digits like 1, 4, 5, 6 and 9 at units place, then it may be a square number or it may not be a square of a number. So children, just notice the unit digit of any given number. If you notice these digits at the units place, then definitely it will not be a perfect square. And if you notice these digits at the unit place, then definitely it may or may not be a perfect square. Now regarding this property of unit digit of a square number. So if any number is having 1 or 9 in the units place, then its square definitely ends with 1. Like 11 square is 121, and if I calculate 19 square, you will get 361. So both number is having, first number is having 1 at the units place, 19 is having 9 at the units place. So when I calculate the square of that number, what I got? 1 at the units place. Similarly, if the number ends with 2 or 8 in the units place, then its square ends with 4. If the number has 3 or 7 in the units place, then its square ends with 9. And if a number has 4 or 6 in the units place, then its square ends in 6. So remember these properties. These will be very useful for us, because whenever we calculate the square root of a perfect square number using the long division method, in that case this method will be, this property will be very useful for us in order to fasten our calculations. Okay, now, so like we have seen that 1 square was 1 and 3 square was 9, and we know that 1 is a odd number and 3 is also a odd number. So when we calculate the square of 1 or we calculate the square of 3, we also got a odd number. So we can say that if the number is odd, so its square is also odd. If a number is even, so its square is also even. For example, 16 is an even number. We already knew this. So what is 16 square? 16 square is 256. Then 5 is an odd number. So what is 5 square? That is 25. And 25 and 5 both are the odd numbers. So whenever you are having the number and you have to just predict its square will be of which type, odd or even, then you have to just see the number. If it is an odd number, then its square will be odd number. If it is an even number, then its square will also be a even number. Then most fascinating property of addition, or most fascinating property, that what actually is square of a number. So we know that multiplication is actually what? It is the successive addition of similar numbers, is it? And division is actually what? It is the repeated subtraction. Okay, that you must have learned in the junior classes. Similarly, same fact is applied in case of the square of the numbers. So we can say that, suppose I have calculated 7 square, it is 49. Now when I add first 7 odd numbers, okay, first 7 odd numbers, then the result that I got is same as I got the result when I square the 7, that is 49. So we can say that if the sum of the numbers are in consecutive from 1 and odd, so the square root of these numbers is number of observations. Or in other words, we can say that square of any number is actually the sum of consecutive numbers, consecutive odd numbers starting from 1. Okay, starting from 1 is very necessary. You cannot take any patterns from any of the odd number. Okay, like you cannot say that I will start from 3 and I will end at 15, so I will get the 7 square. So if you want 7 square, that means you have to add the first 7 consecutive odd numbers. If you want 9 square, then you have to add first 9 consecutive odd numbers. Okay. Then another interesting property of square of the number regarding the zeros in the square number. So if a number contains 1 0 at the end, so 2 zeros will have its square. it means the number contains zeros with double zeros of its square. Like 30 square is 900. So 30 contains one zero at the end, but its square contains two zeros at the end. Similarly, when you do the square of 5000, so it contains three zeros and the square will contain how much? Six zeros. So we can say that the number ends with odd number of zeros, then it can never be a perfect square. For example, 30 is there, so 0 is there, but it is odd number of zeros, so it can never be a perfect square. 5000, three zeros are there, can never be a perfect square. But 60,000, it is having four zeros, so it may or may not be a perfect square. Now another very important and very fascinating property regarding the square of the numbers. Suppose if you calculate the difference between square of two consecutive natural numbers, then that difference is actually the sum of the numbers itself. For example, let there be a natural number n. So what will be the consecutive natural number? It will be n plus 1. Okay, like if you are having 2, then what number comes after 2? 3. So how you got 3? By adding 1 to 2. So if n is a number, then its consecutive natural number will be n plus 1. Now if I calculate the difference between the square of these numbers, so what I am getting addition of these two numbers. For example, 28 square minus 27 square. So instead of calculating the square of 28 and square of 27 independently and then doing the subtraction, if you notice the pattern, actually they both are the consecutive natural numbers. So no need to calculate these squares independently. You can use this property, that is you can simply add these two numbers and you will get answer as 55. Like if you have two bigger numbers like 143 and 142, so calculating square of 143 or 142 will take a lot of time. Okay, then you have to do the difference. So instead, again they both are the okay, suppose we have to calculate the square of 140, difference of a square of 143 and 142. So since 143 square will take a time and 142 square will take a time, so instead if I notice here that 142 and 143 are actually consecutive natural numbers. So instead of calculating their squares independently, what I can do, I can simply add these two numbers. So when I add, I got the answer as 285. So I got the answer in very short period of time just by inspecting the pattern or just by remembering the properties. Next is squares of number that end in 5. Okay, so a shortcut method to calculate the square of numbers when they ends in 5. So what you will do, you have to multiply the 10th digit by the next higher digit, that is, and attach 25 at the end. Now suppose if the number is 35, so what we have to attach 25 at the end, and we have to increase this 3. Okay, so our first digit is 3. So what is the next number after 3? It will be 4. So what we will do, we will multiply 3 by 4, so I will get 12 as the answer. So 12 becomes the first part of my answer and last part of the answer is always 25. So therefore my final answer will be 1225. Okay, this portion for each and every number having 5 at the unit digit always remains same. Only the first portion will be changed, and how we have to calculate, we have to increase this number by 1 and we will multiply this increased number with this previous number. So I got 12. Let's see one more example like 65 square or 85 square. So this green part here you can see will remain same for both. Only red part will change, and how it will change, this 6 will increase by 1, it becomes 7. So it is 7 into 6, that is 42. Then 8 is increased by 1, so it is 9 into 8, that is 72. So here are the square of the numbers that I have written here from 5 square to 115 square. So in each of every number, you can see this red portion that is written 25 is same. Only black portion is changed, and how it has been changed? By increasing the first part by 1 and then multiplying it by the given number. Okay, next is Pythagoras theorem. So Pythagoras theorem we all have studied in the previous classes. So what was Pythagoras theorem? A theorem which is applicable only for right angle triangle, a triangle having a 90-degree angle. So we know that the side which is opposite to this 90-degree angle is known as the hypotenuse. So what we know according to Pythagoras theorem, square of hypotenuse is actually equal to sum of square of remaining sides. So this is known as the Pythagoras theorem. Now based upon this fact, we have one more property that is known as Pythagorean triplet. Now this property said if three numbers are given such that sum of square of two given smaller numbers be equal to square of largest number, then they form Pythagorean triplet. For example, I have three numbers 6, 8 and 10. So among 6, 8 and 10, 6 and 8 are the smaller number. So what I will do, I will take the sum of the squares of two given smaller numbers. So 6 square is 36, 8 square is 64. Then sum means we have to add them. I got the answer as 100. Then I will calculate the square of 10. So square of 10 is 100. Here you can see this 100 is equal to this 100. So they form the Pythagorean triplet. Similarly, if 3, 4, 5 is there, so we will calculate 3 square, then 4 square, and when we add these two, we got answer as 25. But 5 square is also 25, so again they form the Pythagorean triplet. So whenever you want to check the Pythagorean triplet, you have to simply add the square of two smaller numbers and then compare with the square of the largest number. If that comparison is done and they both are the same, then these three numbers are forming the Pythagorean triplet. Then if suppose you want to estimate the number of digits in the square of a number. So if there are n digits in a number, then number of digits in its perfect square is either 2n or 2n minus 1. For example, if a number consists of one digit, then its square contains one or two digit. If the number consists of two digit, then its square contains 2 times of 2, that is 4, and 1 less than 4, that is 3. So 3 or 4 digits. So if the number consists of 5 digits suppose, then its square must contain twice of 5, that is 10, and 1 less than 10, that is 9. So its square contains 9 or 10 digits. So here are the few example, like 2 and 7, they both are the single digit number. So 2 square is 4 and 7 square is 49. Then 111 and 785, they both are the 3-digit number. So according to our concept, its square must contain 5 or 6 digits. So it is now proved. 111 square is 12,321 and 785 square is 6,16,625. That means 6 digits. Now what is square root? So square root of a number is a number you can multiply by itself to give you that number. Okay, now what does it mean? It means that suppose you calculate the square of 2. So you get answer as 4. Square of 3, you get the answer as 9. Now if you calculate the square root of 4 or you calculate the square root of 9, then you will get the same number as you get when you do the square of the number. So we can say that square root is actually the same number that we get when we do the squaring of a number. So if 8 square is 64, then square root of 64 is 8. If 12 square is 144, then square root of 144 is 12. Okay, so if you are able to write the given number in the form of product of two numbers, two similar numbers, then that similar number is known as the square root of the given number. Now there are certain methods to find the square root of a number. Prime factorization. long division, repeated subtraction. Okay, so we will discuss only two methods because the third one is not in the course. So what is prime factorization method? We will discuss first of all. Now, this method is, you have to find the prime factors of the given numbers. Then you will form pairs of prime factors. Then you will take one prime factor from each pair of prime factors of the given number, and then you will find the product of these prime factors to get the square root of the given numbers. Okay, so let's discuss it with us example. Suppose I want to find the square root of 1764. Now this thing is familiar with all of you. You must have calculated the LCM or HCF in the previous classes. So this is prime factorization. So when I do the prime factorization, see the sequence. You have to do the prime factorization only by using the prime numbers. Okay, do not use the composite numbers, although this is divisible by 4 also. But we will do the prime factorization only by the prime numbers like 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 19 and so on. So when I do the prime factorization of 1764, I got the result like this. So I have written 764 in the form of its prime factors. Now we will form the pairs. So this 2 is having a pair, so it will come here. This 3 is having a pair, so it will come here. And this 7 is having a pair. Now see, after forming the pairs, no number is left without the pair. So we got the square root of 1764 as 42. If by chance a number is left without having a pair, like this example, if I want to find the square root of 2352, so by doing the prime factorization and after forming the pairs, we came to know that this 3, okay, this 3 here you can see it's not in pair. Okay, this 3 is left out without any pair. So I can say that 2352 is not a perfect square. So whenever you are doing the prime factorization for finding the square root, if you are getting the pair of each and every given prime factor, then you can say that the number is a perfect square. Or if any number is left without any pair, then you cannot say it is a you cannot say it is a perfect square. So this is the method to find the square root of the given number. Okay, so that's it for today. In the next class, we will discuss the very first exercise regarding and using these properties of the square numbers that we have discussed now. Okay, for now, thank you.